good, y'all, with the new video? And as you see by the title, we're gonna be doing a modded 3DS tour. I recently, about a week ago, did a ultimate modded PS Vita tour, and y'all seem to really like it, so I went ahead and digged out my 3DS, and we're gonna go ahead and do a modded tour of this bad boy. I have a ton of things, over 120 3DS games, 100 DS games, 100 NES games, 100 this, 100 that. I have a lot of goodies on this system, so let's not waste too much time. This might be a long one, I'm not 100% sure, but like I said, let's not waste too much time. Let's hop into it. Hopping into it, we have some stickers on my 3DS that I thought I'll show off. These are some of my favorite artists: Kanye, Tyler, Childish Gambino, a lot of great artists. If you don't like them, that's all good. I understand people have different music tastes, but please don't leave any crazy comments about them. But yeah, that's pretty much the decoration of my 3DS, nothing too special. Next, hopping into the system, I have a ton, and I mean a ton of 3DS games on this system. I used to have about 120 to 125, but I currently have about 100 to 105. I had to delete about 20 of them to go ahead and free up some space for different modifications, different videos, etc, etc. But there's an unlimited amount of 3DS games that you should have and you should be playing in 2023. The 3DS has so many great games, and it's honestly visible because a lot of these games are ported to the Switch. They wouldn't port it to the Switch if they didn't think it was going to sell good on the Switch, and it's for a reason. A lot of these games are great, but there's a lot of games that are stuck on a 3DS that you definitely need to have on your system. I might make a video in the future talking about games that are phenomenal on the 3DS that are stuck on a 3DS that didn't receive a port on the Switch or anything like that. Let me know if y'all be interested in that video. But I have so many games that I can't talk about them individually. I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick pan through of all the different games I have on my system, but I will go ahead and dive into a couple of my favorites, so let's hop into that. The first game has to be Kirby Planet Robobot. What a game. I'm honestly not a crazy fan of Kirby games, or I really shouldn't say not a fan. I just really haven't played many Kirby games, but I played the ones on the original Game Boy Color, etc. But for a modern Kirby game, I think Planet Robobot takes the cake. I haven't really played the Wii Kirby games, which I know there's a handful of 3D Wii Kirby games, but for a modern Kirby game, I think this is one of the best, and you can play as a robot. Come on now, it's in the title, it's in the gameplay, and I definitely recommend this one. Next, which is kind of a basic one, is Mario Kart 7. I know objectively, probably everybody that had a 3DS had this on their system, but I honestly think this game is a little underrated for a Mario Kart game. I know Mario Kart Wii is probably my favorite Mario Kart of all time. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is phenomenal as well, but Mario Kart 7 is a great game, and I don't see it have as much love as I think it should be. And you know what's a cool thing is a lot of people actually still play this online, so if you want to hop on your 3DS and play online, Mario Kart 7 might be the one for you. And at number 3, I have to recommend WarioWare Gold. This is a phenomenal game. I'm honestly a big fan of any WarioWare game. The fast-paced micro games, the mini games are just super fun. The soundtrack are phenomenal in these type of games, and honestly, you see Wario in a lot of Nintendo IPs, but you don't see the characters in the Wario universe, and these are the really only games that you see them, and I think it's really cool to see these characters in the game. Next, we have my Ambassador Certificate, which a lot of y'all are going to be salty if you have an Ambassador 3DS, but I don't have an Ambassador 3DS. I simply modded this and put it onto my system, and hey, I got me a Ambassador Certificate, which is pretty cool, and honestly, I think it's a little thing. It's nothing too crazy. It really doesn't do much for you. It's just cool to have it on your system. Next, which if you're a big fan of Mario Kart 7, I definitely recommend CTGP7. It's a Mario Kart 7 modification, which is basically the Mario Kart 7 engine, but there's a bunch of new tracks, new, old, future tracks, a little bit of everything, as well as a bunch of new characters, custom characters, etc., and a lot of online play on this one as well. So if you want to play some online Mario Kart 7 and use some new tracks and new characters, this is definitely a mod you want to have on your system. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my mods that I have in this specific folder. I don't have too many, but I have the important ones. I have FBI, which allows you to upload your backup files for your 3DS games. Next, this one, I don't even know what it is, to be honest. I don't really remember. You get the Amone, which is the 3DS themes manager, which allows you to have custom themes. You have Twilight Menu Plus, which is probably my favorite and the most important. You can do a lot of things on that bad boy. You have the Universal Updater, which allows you to update your system at any time, any place. You don't have to have the shop, and of course the Homebrew launcher, which allows you to download Homebrew to your system. Diving into Twilight Menu Plus, you will have this Nintendo DSi little startup menu, and then when you click start, the Twilight Menu Plus menu will start up. And then once you're in here, you will have a bunch of different folders that you could put your backups into, like Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. If you scroll down a little bit, you have NDS, which is Nintendo DS, as well as NES, which is of course original Nintendo. And you can put all your backups into this if you own the games. You want to put your backups into this now, you know what I'm saying? So for Nintendo, I have about 100 games total. I pretty much just put every big IP as well as some games that I was actually interested in playing. I don't play Nintendo games too much, like original Nintendo games, but it's definitely cool to have on the system. Next, we have all my Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. As you see, we have a ton of Game Boy games, and it's kind of neat because you have your Game Boy Color games all in this one folder, so you don't have to have multiple folders for each variant of the Game Boy, which is kind of a neat feature on Twilight Menu Plus. Next, which is of course is my favorite, is the Nintendo DS games. I have about 80 DS games on this bad boy, from all the Pokemons, Marios, etc, etc. A lot of classics on the DS. If you played a DS growing up, you know how many phenomenal titles are on this system, and it's cool to have all your favorite titles on your 3DS. Of course, we have Super Mario DS. I'm gonna go ahead and show some gameplay just to show you that everything runs smooth, of course. And as you see, we're in the game playing as Yoshi. We're at Peach's castle, and yeah, it's just cool to have this on your system. And to dive into really any game, you can hop into any Pokemon game. I know a lot of these games are expensive nowadays, so to have this all on your modded 3DS is definitely an awesome feature. And there's actually a Nintendo DS forwarder, which allows you to forward all your DS games to your home screen like if it was a 3DS game. I'll be talking about this a little more later in this video, but it's definitely a neat feature so you don't have to load into Twilight Menu Plus every time. And last but not least, of course, I got my Game Boy Advance games, probably my favorite Game Boy of all time. Game Boy Advance, I had this growing up, and there's so many great titles on this bad boy, from all the Donkey Kong Country, the Super Mario Worlds, the Klonoa, the Sonic games, a little bit of everything, and there's so many great titles to enjoy. And as you see, once you start it up, the game looks good, it feels good. It's only on the top screen, but hey, it still looks good and feels good, and it's cool again to have all these on your system. Now let's hop into the Amone 3D Themes Manager. I know a lot of y'all are gonna correct me and be mad about that pronunciation, but I still don't know how to say it, I'm gonna be honest with you. But this allows you to have a lot of custom themes on your system. As you see, we have the Breaking Bad, the Igor one, we have even a God of War theme, which is really cool to have on a 3DS, and the one I'm currently using is Super Mario Sunshine, which is my favorite Mario game of all time. Again, another debatable topic, but we're not gonna talk about that too much. But this is a really cool app because all you have to do is go to the QR scanner and go to this website. I will pop up on the screen, and you can scan the barcode of whatever theme you want, and it'll download straight to your system, and bang, you have a cool custom theme. And hopping into the Homebrew launcher, there's nothing too serious. At least I haven't dug too deep into the Homebrew browser, but we have a handful of things like the 3DS theme manager, the forwarders I was mentioning about earlier, the universal updater, FBI, the NDS forwarder generator, which allows you to put your DS games on the home menu, and even a parental unlock, which if you find a 3DS at a garage sale, a Goodwill, whatever, and it's locked from, you know, parental lock, you can go ahead and mod it and unlock it so it's not stuck on parental control. And it's definitely a cool feature to save some 3DS lives. And yeah, that is my modded 3DS tour. Honestly, I really like this handheld. I'm more of a PlayStation dude, if I had to say. Personally, I do love my PlayStation Vita, but once you have that Nintendo itch and you want to play some Nintendo IPs, I think the 3DS is honestly the best handheld you can get right now, especially that they closed the shop down and it's easily moddable right now, so you can pretty much play any game that you want, as well as old generation games like Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, etc. But yeah, man, let me know in the comments, do you have a Nintendo 3DS? Because if you don't, I definitely think it's worth a purchase, especially if you're a Nintendo fan and a handheld fan. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of my handheld. I really do love it. But yeah, man, hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. Make sure y'all hit that like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and I'll see y'all next time.